at preschool, that picture there of Alex at preschool, the day after that photo was taken, he was expelled from our local preschool. And he was expelled. I got a phone call. No, Alex was actually 2.5 there, and dropped him off at the little preschool. He'd only been there for 2 or 3 days, and I got a phone call from the director, and she said, Bridget, and I've heard this tone for the past 25 years, and she said, we can't have Alex anymore. He won't be able to come. And I said, why is that? And it was because he was sitting on the table and throwing buttons around. Of course, no other children do that. And so I went and picked him up. I was devastated. I rang our local special education service, and at that time they provided you with information in other preschools. And that's all they did. She wasn't interested in listening to me, and her first name was Helen. And Gary and I that was the first time that we realised how society really viewed our beautiful little boy with glasses. And we couldn't do anything for 2 weeks. We were just absolutely, it was the stuff that gets to the core of your soul. However, it also made us stronger because we were even more determined to shift, excuse the language, to shift the shit out of the way so that Alex would lead a very good life and be the man he is today. So school came along. And again, it was, we don't take children like that at this school. And so we went to a funeral at a Catholic primary school, and one of the students there had passed away. And the wee girl who had passed away, I was involved in a number of an advocacy with her parents, and the principal at the time, or acting principal, came up to me after the funeral and said, hey, does the kid want to come to school here? Because we had been in the news and, I was shifting everything out of the way to make it quite clear that this wasn't acceptable. So he'd heard about us, and this acting principal, his name was Mark. And I'm saying this because you'll hear through the presentation what happens with those sort of relationships. Alex did go to the school. He started there 3 weeks later. By now he was almost 6, and I know at first I said, no, he's not coming here. No, we want him to go to our local school. And Mark had said, does the kid want to play rugby? He can play rugby if you don't come here. Anyway, so it's, So I went home that night, told Gary about what this guy had said, and Gary rang him the next day, and Alex started a few weeks later. Mark and his family have become our closest friends over the past 20 years, and he was a huge advocate throughout Alex's primary school years. College, Alex was the first person with Down syndrome to go to Sacred Heart College, which is a large Catholic college in Auckland. But he was the first of 4 generations of Sneddons, and that's really important. That was, where all the Snedden men have been educated. And when they had when they'd come to the primary school and had an evening of, selling Sacred Heart, send your children here, I'd asked a number of questions, and I knew the woman who was running it was going to go back to the principal and say, and who's that lady? And he said to her, she's Bridget Snedden. And so it was just, Alex was absolutely accepted at the school because of those very strong ties. However, school life wasn't perfect. To address the issue of isolation and loneliness, his champs decided that he needed a circle of friends at school. So Alex and his brother put together, or chose, a circle of friends at school, and they were 14 and 15 at the time. The guys in that circle went on to become, all of them became prefects in year 17. So it's just interesting that, you know, Alex and Tim could identify good young men at such a young age. As Alex has showed you, there were some fabulous things that occurred, and there were some not so great things that happened, and I think loneliness and isolation was the biggest things. But there were, certainly some things that were happening where the principal wouldn't act on it, when I would go, look, these things can't keep occurring, and the principal would say, you know, I can't make the teachers do such and such. Anyway, would have been about 4 years later, and he had his own baby with Down syndrome, and his wife rang me and said, we know exactly how we need to be, Bridget, you know. And one of Alex's teacher's aide also she was a wonderful teacher aide, and she also had a baby with Down syndrome, and which was just really interesting. They soon changed their attitudes around him.